Hello and welcome. My name is Emily Blair Fellman. I am a numerologist, psychic, channel, and coach. I work with people to help them raise their vibration to the highest potentiality of their numbers. And today we are going to be diving into a March wrap-up. In my previous video, you may have seen that I gave an entire download of numerologically what all the information that we have, right, was guiding us and showing us what, needs to happen. The way I see it is that every single month we can look at things from the soul lens, from the highest perspective, and we'll be able to numerologically decode what the energy at play is already doing. It's a cheat sheet to the matrix, and my loves, this March, let's wrap it up together. Let's integrate what it is that's been coming up for not just you, for me too. I am right there with you, honey. So, without further ado, I want you to go and grab a piece of paper and a pen. And before we go any further, set the intention to receive the downloads, the insight, to receive the perspective shift and awareness so that you can more fully activate the highest potentiality of the numbers at play. So, this last March, if you want the full download, go check out my previous video where I give all that info. And for the purposes of this video, let's just keep it cash, right? Let's look at some questions, some journaling prompts that you can ask yourself to really address and see how your human's been going and learning these vibrations and learning and remembering really what's been going on at the absolute highest level. Excuse me, I'm still recovering. Part of the 7 gift of this portal year energy is that if you need to slow down and hear something, you will be made to slow down and hear something. And last week I woke up with a really sore throat and went right into the trenches and did some really deep shadow work, actually all surrounding the 1 portal March energy, which was releasing the role of the victim, because the gift of the 1 is literally the antidote to the victim, because the 1 frequency is all about self-love, meeting your own needs, taking responsibility for yourself. All of that in combination with that 7 portal year, which is like taking responsibility for your consciousness, for your mind, for how you're directing your thoughts, what you are choosing to create through that third eye, projecting out or in, whatever, you know what I mean? So with this 1 energy, I've written some questions that I am going to get you to write down or just ask yourself as we go through this and find out how you've been doing with these things. So just before we go any further, look back at March right now. Maybe close your eyes, take a deep breath. Just let it all go. So this last month, I want you to visualize, maybe feel, maybe you'll hear what you did over the course of the last month. What was March like for you? Think of the start of the month, the middle. What experiences were you having? What energy were you experiencing? What realizations were you having? Were you having any realizations? How did you see the world? What lens and filter did you use as you perceived all of the things that were happening for you? So, I know for me, this 1 frequency, when I reflect on it, it was really like all to do with self, which is what it's designed to do. It's totally that independent, sovereign person. It's the beginning of all of the numbers because it's the core of what someone needs to learn in order to do the rest. You need to learn that you're a self, how to lead yourself, how to love yourself, how to meet your own needs, how to charge forward. And, I think there's a lot of tenacity in this kind of energy. There's a lot of tenacity because you need to keep picking yourself back up and and really cheerleading yourself on. So if you're to reflect on this last month with that one energy, just ask yourself, and maybe you want to write this one down. What has your relationship with yourself been like? What has my relationship with myself been like? I know that this last month was a month that I totally had this breakthrough in terms of being able to perceive myself in a new way, and which is that 1 and 7, because the 7 is the mind, consciousness, perspective, and self is the 1. And I was able to ask myself, if I were my own soulmate, like if I were a soulmate, how would I want to be treated right now? How would I treat myself if I were my own soulmate? And when I had that thought, I realized all of the ways that I need to like pick up my game. You know what I mean? If I really want to be treated like I'm my own love of my life, then there was more I could do. 100% more that I get to do. Romance myself. How am I cooking dinner with myself? How am I talking to myself? How am I soothing myself? Like, it can be playful in a game. And anyway, so that inner relationship really became a really top priority for me this last month. I noticed how important it was for me to lead my own charge, and just it keeps coming back to the same thing. Like, I've got to keep getting myself to where I need to go. It starts with the belief in myself. That's what the 1 keeps reminding us. At the beginning, it's the self. So I want you to ask yourself, how have you been at believing in yourself? Over the last month, name 3 times that you were your best supporter, and think about another 3 times where you probably could have been more there for yourself. And ask yourself, what were those points? When did I let myself down? If you did, when did I drop the ball? When did I at all prioritize other people's needs over my own at my own detriment? These are the questions, because it's that one, how have you been in your relationship with yourself? And in all of the aspects, right? We're addressing all of the aspects of how you lead yourself, how you be with yourself. So the 1 and the 7 in combination is also a lot to do with trust. The 7 frequency is wise, it's intuitive, it trusts in its highest potential, it's trusting. And in its shadowiest contraction, it is like no faith, ain't no trust, just, sitting in the shit in the gutter of the mind. And I want you to ask yourself, how has your relationship with your trust in life and in yourself been? What has held you back from fully being with yourself, being with all of yourself, conscious, unconscious, sticky, beautiful, everything? What has held you back from really being with yourself? Is there anything holding you back from trusting yourself in this moment? Is there anything holding you back from loving yourself more in this moment right now? What's been going on? So the 1, I know for me, was very, very, very much, and is very much about, leadership. And I'm wondering how leading has come up in your life. I want you to look back at this last month and just ask yourself, was I called to lead? Were you called to lead? Did you accept the task? And what does leading mean to you? Because the 1 teaches total sovereignty, that the person who can completely embody their values 1 and 7 combination get to know themselves well enough to know their values and to then move in alignment with them through thought, deeds, all of it. And you're not going to go to instant perfection, though it's doing your best to be completely congruent with your highest truth, your highest vision, which is that 7, and embodying that into your 1, into how you carry yourself and how sovereignly you move through this. So that 1 energy is helping you to really be with all of you right now, for better, for worse. What are your values? What have you realized in this last month that you actually prioritize more than anything? In this last month, how are your connections? Because the 1 energy is the self, and it's, it can be a very lone wolf-like energy. It's sometimes when someone is so sovereign in what they believe, their thoughts, their opinions, their values, as a leader, they're leading themselves. They can, oftentimes you deal with people who disagree. And oftentimes people suppress those values. They suppress their sovereignty because they're afraid of loss, of being alone. And the 1 is the antidote to that. It's telling you how important it is to own and respect yourself in all of these ways. I mean, that's a little bit of an 8 energy added on I threw in there with the respect, but nonetheless, I think they work really well together. So with that 1 frequency, I'll share for me what's been coming up. Like, I know that I've spent so much time on my own, like so much time, meditating, shadow working, crying, laughing, watching so many reels. I need to chill out. You know what I mean? I've been doing all the things with my family at the moment, all of that. And I value my time alone so much at the moment. It is like replenishment. And because I spend so much time on my own, learning and learning how to really meet my own needs and be with myself and make myself happy and all that kind of stuff, when I've now gone into connection where I'm not being met, or where, I now have spent so much time with myself, so perhaps I have some new desires in what I want in friendship, in all connection, it's become very apparent. Conversations I'm sometimes not interested in anymore. I mean, I've never been a small talk Sally kind of girl. I've always been like, let's go deep. I'm a Piscean woman, you know what I mean? I'm also a life path number 3, so I'm like, let's just express. So it is what it is. And with this new awareness of myself, I'm finding that 1 and 7 energy, because the 7's so introspective, the 1 so self, with myself all the time. It's both this beautiful blessing of knowing myself so well, and also this like, wow, girl got standards now, and they're different than they once were. And having that sovereignty of how do I now need to embody all of my new values, or the values I've had have perhaps grown, shifted, whatever. What is adapting and maneuvering and changing, and how is that being reflected back to me in the company that I keep? So that's really come up for me. Oh my God, the throat. It's so a thing. Because like even for me, sharing all of this stuff in combination with my personal journey with it is putting a lot out there. So I'm getting activated, and that 1 frequency of like loving myself through it, empowering myself through it, all of that really has come to the forefront for my world. And and maybe it is for you too in your own beautiful way. So that's something to just, think about, because as we move into April and halfway through this month, we started getting this 11 frequency come online, which is all about mirroring and illuminating the dark. And it's a very high frequency, which can oftentimes mean that in order to get to the highest light that's available, the darker and the bigger the shadow that's going to be cast. So be aware that with your journey of yourself, with that combination of the 7 and your consciousness and your wisdom and your intuition and trusting yourself and being with yourself and all of those things, the 11 is going to be illuminating all your sticky, icky, dark, messy. And it'll help you illuminate them through relationship now. So second half through the month, you probably noticed that whereas the first half of the month, it may be more solo, the second half of the month came online and it was a lot more interactions and connections coming online, more illuminating conversations would have been available to you, because that's the energy of the 11. It's 2 sovereign beings, 1 coming together into connection. So that's a lot of the energy. So oftentimes as well, it's a very twin flame energy, as to say that you can have multiple people with that dynamic. Numerologically speaking, you will have your soul blueprint combined with another soul blueprint, and you add them together, you get your relationship blueprint. And I have multiple relationship blueprints with other people that hold 11s, as to say that there is an aspect with all different people where it is a twin flame essence, just that way, intense motherfucking mirrors. So pay attention to the people in your world at the moment who are your most upfront mirrors. The ones that trigger you the most are the ones that you are most like. So can you reflect on that for the moment? Which relationships have been activating you the most? And what is it that your human needs to remember right now, needs to let go of right now, needs to just like perceive? It's just the 7 and 11, it's like awareness, all this stuff. The other thing that's interesting is with these energies, the 7 is also a lot to do with mythology, the esoteric, hidden magic, right? So maybe you've had some sparkly, magical moments that have happened over this last month. Maybe you have connected to unseen experiences, those hidden gems that are really showing your human another level of your multidimensionality. You're getting another level of another dimension of you. Reflect on that. The shadow work and all of that stuff, I know for me, I put so much energy and attention into that. It's kind of narcissistic in a way, actually. And also, that 7 frequency is also, and the 11, illuminating, and it's magical. The 7 energy is, because it's innate wisdom and intuition, it's the ability to bear witness to the innate flow of life and to just witness, observe. It's a lens and filter that is knowing and accepting. So reflect on this last month. In what moments did you allow yourself, did you notice that you found it perhaps easier to lean into that loving, chill, intuitive frequency of the 7? What did you notice about the relationship with yourself and your intuition and being able to connect to wisdom? Knowing that wisdom is like awareness meeting compassion. In what spaces were you able to be graced by that? And did you notice that the more you love yourself, the more honest you can be with your needs and the raw truth of the self, the more you can welcome and integrate the wisdom of the all. So some questions to help you integrate on all things to do with the mind, with the 7 and the 1. I want you to notice at what points you noticed your mind helping you. Ask yourself, what do I value about my mind? What do I value about my intellect? What else do I want to learn? What else do I want to explore mentally and analyze? You know, it's a very curious, truth-seeking energy with the self. So So maybe you're curiously wanting to embody new beginnings of that one energy, new visions, new leadership opportunities, initiating energy, that kind of spark. And then on the flip side, what are the limitations of your mind? And over this last month, when have you allowed yourself to be ruled by the mechanics of the mind coming in and churning? What have you noticed has been the benefits and the negatives of the mind is the point. And another thing to mention, as we move into this next month, I want you to start to tune in and ask yourself, what, number one, do I need? Moving forward, you get to move forward taking the gifts of the one, right? We learn these things in a linear fashion, so the gifts of the previous number can help us embody the gifts of the next number. So moving forward, knowing and having a method and a way to truly love yourself and tune into your needs is going to be super valuable and important. So ask yourself, what do I need moving forward that will help me address and support myself with my needs? And with that one frequency, with a tendency that can be towards hyper independence and you know, not seeking outward ever, because you've got to do it all. That's the way to prove that you're worthy. Protection. When can you know that it's time to reach out for help? When will you know? When will you allow yourself the grace of asking and reaching out for support? And the other thing with that one frequency, if you are being your most sovereign, aligned, loving self, then what would your life look like, sound like, feel like? How would you be showing up in your world if you were your most self-loving, self-assured version of you? And if you start moving through the shadow of the one, which is that self-doubt on repeat, like a loop, with the 7 shadow of thinking, so like looping thoughts of doubt, then how can you get yourself, what do you need to do to get yourself back into a remembrance that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are so capable, you are innately good, you are all that is, incarnated, random, but true. So that's all for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you get something out of it, then please drop me a comment, like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who you know will need this and will benefit from being able to wrap up this last month. Yay! I love you guys so much, and I'll be out with a new video soon, releasing all you need to know about April's 11 portal month.